Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about One Piece chapter 1029. And today I'm not doing a reaction. I kind of had a busy morning, so I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. I don't have a crazy ton to say about this chapter. Now, this chapter mostly revolves around Kid and Killer and their situation with Kid fighting Big Mom, but having a straw doll, being connected to a straw doll that Hawkins has, and how Killer can't kill Hawkins because it'll hurt Kid. So the majority of the chapter is about that. And before I get to the part that I actually want to talk about, which is Sanji, which I think is the most interesting stuff, even though it's smaller and only is like a couple pages. But I gotta give Oda some props. I've never been that big of a fan of Kid and Killer. I think they're fine as like kind of like, oh, they're like the kind of like to some degree antithesis of not complete antithesis. Not completely the opposite of Luffy and the Straw Hats, but like they're in that same they're some of the supernovas, but they're more evil than the Straw Hats. I just never cared about them. Like right from the get-go, I liked Law a lot. And obviously Oda has like put a lot of work into making Law a very specific and more forward-facing character. But I've never been a huge fan of Kid and Killer. They're fine. So it's like having a whole chapter dedicated to them. I'm kind of glad that Killer's fight is done with Hawkins, because Hawkins is another character where it's like as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of it being like a very specific situation, this could have been a fight between Killer and like Apu. Who cares about it? I'm sure that there are plenty of people that actually really like Kid and Killer, because I could see how you would like them. They're kind of weird characters, but I've never really been a big fan of them. That said, I think Oda did a really good job of illustrating their bond in this chapter and showing just how much. Okay, well, Kid doesn't know exactly what's going on at all. He doesn't know anything that's happening, why his head hurts and whatever. But like, it kind of shows that like, Killer and Kid have like, in a lot of ways, like a Zoro and Luffy vibe to them, where they're just like they're friends. I mean, obviously they've been friends for far much longer than Zoro and Luffy were, but like they've been friends since kids, and I gotta give Oda some props that like. He does a good job of like showing their bonds and what makes them such a good pair. Especially with like Killer cutting off, like everybody assumed this was going to happen. So it's not particularly surprising. I didn't like gasp at it or anything. But Killer cutting off Hawkins's arm and being like, yep, or I guess it would be this arm. Cutting off his arm and being like, Kid doesn't have an arm. I think I was pretty positive that was how it was gonna go down anyways. So I gotta give Oda some props to like, it was a pleasant fight. This didn't feel like a complete like throwaway fight. This felt like a good full battle, and I like that much about it. I do wonder if Hawkins had projected that Hawkins had projected that somebody was going to die or something was going to happen in that vein. I wonder if it's his own death that he was predicting, because okay, here's the thing. In a lot of ways, I agree with people that it could be the kind of thing where somebody dies, Luffy or whatever, or dies, and then Law has to perform the like ultimate surgery and whatnot to bring them back to life. Now, here's the dealio with that, is that it gives them, I don't know if it's eternal youth or eternal life or just a longer life. I'm not sure Luffy would want that. I think he seems pretty happy with where he's headed. Granted, he's shortened his life significantly, so maybe it's the kind of thing where it's like maybe Luffy shortens his life so significantly that Law performing the surgery on him would ultimately give him a normal full life. I don't know. My glasses are like these are relative. These are new glasses, and they are reflecting light like nobody's business. I should have gotten non-reflective lenses. But I'm getting off track with Law because again, it's the kind of thing where I'm more interested in Law than I am in Kid and Killer. My point is, I think that Oda did a very good job in showing Killer's battle strengths, and I think he's done a good job of bringing him to the forefront because he's always felt like a very side, like really really side character that I just don't have enough. I don't have enough willpower to care about. I do like the idea though that like Hawkins he did one last tarot card and it was apparently a burning tower, and that means like new beginnings, or like it means that the old and brittle will fall away and break apart, basically meaning that like it says a new way forward, and basically that means like our guys are gonna win. I mean, not that we ever expected anything else, but like our guys are gonna win. Granted the Marines, world government is coming, so that's kind of a whole other thing. But I thought this was a very well choreographed fight. Is ultimately what I'm saying. Cutting back and forth between Kid having like having his head split apart because he not knowing what exactly it is, and Killer kind of just handling it. With that all said, given that the entire chapter is more or less about Kid and Killer, I was more interested in the Sanji stuff from early in the very beginning of the chapter. We start off with him having the sword broken on his neck, and then that just like spirals him into like this fear of turning into his siblings and his family. And you got like little old man Chopper being like, "Oh, what you doing there, Sonny? This is weird. I've never seen this happen." So it's really interesting to see him kind of legitimately afraid of becoming a monster, and like it's less about the physical attributes, I think, for him, and more about the ice cold heart. His siblings and well, I don't know, judge either way. His siblings are like kind of they're dicks, obviously, but like they're kind of cold hearted in a lot of ways, and that contradicts Sanji's whole being. Basically, he is a hot-blooded lover. He cares, he's emotional, he has feelings for his crew and for his enemies and for obviously women. So it's a very contradictory thing for him. So I really think that's an interesting thing to break down, and I hope Oda doesn't keep just giving us little snippets and like have Sanji's fight kind of just like as a side thing, only ultimately to have him defeat him in like a couple panels. But I really like him. He's running away from Queen and being like, "Hold on, I gotta figure this out." And I'm just really interested to see how exactly he deals with it, because it's not just a physical power up. There's a whole lot of baggage to it that comes with it. Zoro gets a conqueror's haki, and it doesn't make a difference because it's like he's just strong. That's just another thing for him to use. It's not like he has any like emotional ties or hatred towards people with haki or conqueror's haki or whatever. So it doesn't really matter to him. But this is like Sanji, even from the moment he got his raid suit, was at odds with the idea of like, well, he's never used the help of his family before, and now he resents the idea that they would give him some technology of theirs to power him up. And then now but that's at the very least something he can like choose not to use. This is something like his body is like showing attributes that he can't do anything about that. So I really like that like there's a certain, it's not just a physical power up, but it's also like a mental what's the word I want to say? It's also something he has to like mentally grasp and kind of come to terms with, because it's not what he wants. He wants to be a regular human that has worked hard to build up his strength. So he doesn't want to suddenly get all that and then also have it's the emotional aspect of it, right? Where it's the heart of ice that all of his siblings have, and an unfeeling heart of ice. That's what he's afraid of. And honestly, there's a really great panel of him being like, no, I didn't mean to. I don't want to turn out like those heartless monsters. And you could see the fear in his eyes. If you really look at him, it's not the physical wounds that he's afraid of. It's not, honestly, it's probably not even the power up. Like I said, it is that feeling of like, he just doesn't want to be like them. He wants to be his own person, and he wants to continue caring for the people he already does care about. And I really like that. So there's not much of a cliffhanger here per se. We just basically get like kids free from Hawkins's straw doll clutch. And it's basically like, I have a feeling that the next chapter will focus entirely on Kid and Law fighting Big Mom. Maybe we'll see like maybe it'll be a kind of snippet of like, oh, Zoro's stuff, and then Kid and Law fighting Big Mom. But I don't know. This chapter really, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's kind of like, it wasn't about characters that I care about mostly. And I really would have preferred to see more of Sanji and his mental gymnastics of having to deal with the fact that his powers are starting to awaken from the Germa, and how he can kind of deal with that. I think that's way more interesting than Kid suddenly just like not having a headache or not having his head split open because Killer saved him from Hawkins. I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'll leave it as a short video because there's not really much else to say. I think the panels are really cool. I gotta give Oda some credit where credit is due. He knows how to make a panel of characters that maybe I don't necessarily care about, and there's some good stuff. Oh, there is one thing that I really liked. It's when Kid's on the ground and he's like having a freaking like like they keep saying he's having a migraine or a headache because Hawkins was smashing his own head against the wall. There's a part where like Big Mom does like a flip in the air and like comes down and does her mama raid, and I don't know, I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think about this chapter down in the comment section. Listen, every character's got some fans, right? So it's like I'm really kind of like I'm really sticking it to Law, or not Law. I love Law. I'm really sticking it to Kid and Killer here. Because even though they probably have a huge fan base. So let me know, what did you think about this chapter? What do you think about Sanji's involvement with his body starting to change? He's basically going through puberty at this point. So he's gonna get moody, I imagine. So what did you think about that? About Sanji's slow transformation, and his emotional issues with having anything to do with the Germa and becoming more like them. Let me know what you think about that. And what do you think is next? What do you think we do? You think we stick with Kid and Law fighting Big Mom, or do you think we jump to something else entirely? I'm gonna leave it at that. I will see you guys in another video. So long.